Hello and welcome to Recipe Club. This is a new video series we're going to be producing on behalf of Eleven and Montrose Health Group. I'm James, I'm the resident chef here for Eleven, and we're going to be introducing you to some healthy, nutritious meals that you can batch cook at home to enjoy for your lunch and dinner. This is designed to aid you in your recovery journey or just to boost your mental and physical health and wellness to live a more fulfilling life. I hope you enjoy. So this week's recipe is going to be a creamy cauliflower soup with a nice punchy wild garlic pesto. Wild garlic's in season in the UK all throughout spring. It's just coming to the end of the season now because we're getting these lovely white wild garlic flowers popping up, and that signifies the end of the season. So to identify wild garlic, pick it up. There's long, dark green fibrous leaves, and they'll smell intensely of garlic if you pick them up and just bash them around in your hands a bit. They grow in wooded areas and parks all over the UK. In Sheffield, I picked these leaves in Graves Park, but they grow in mill houses in Exhall Woods. They grow out in the Peak District all the time. Any shaded area around the riverbed is great conditions for wild garlic, so keep an eye around there. And watch out for these nice little white flowers that pop up. This can be preserved throughout the year to be used in other recipes. You can pickle the leaves, you can pickle the flowers, we can ferment them, we can put them in oils, in pestos like this, in sauces, and we can enjoy it all year round. So now we're going to just start washing our veg off. Make sure to get all inside the leeks, get all the sand out, give them a good rinse off. We're going to wash off our wild garlic. Obviously this has been growing in the woods, so we need to give this a really good wash, get all the dirt off and all any sand. Give it a soak in water with some salt, and then the little bugs will appear then, and we can give it a good rinse off. Dry it in our salad spinner and leave it to dry on a tea towel in the fridge or on your counter if you're going to be using it soon. This is more than enough for this recipe. I probably used about half of this to get a good big batch of pesto, but like I said, it comes in handy in all sorts of recipes. Substitute it for spinach if you want a little garlicky alternative. Just taking the leaves off the cauliflower here. We're going to use this green outer part of the leaf for our pesto to make sure we're not wasting any of the vegetable. This just reduces our waste for sustainability reasons, but also to get all the extra nutrients from the vegetable. The big thicker parts of the stems aren't really necessary, so they can go in the bin or in your stock. We're going to wash these leaves off and give them a rough chop. As with the rest of our pesto ingredients, this is just to make it a little bit easier for our food processor. We're doing the same with the wild garlic. If you were to leave it whole, it would just struggle a little bit in your blender or food processor. Now we're going to zest and juice our lemon. Here I'm doing it on my microplane, but you can easily use a box grater, and this is going to go in our pesto. We squeeze the lemon juice. It's going to be the first part of our recipe. This can also be done in the food processor, a little bit easier, but I like using the blender to get a nice smooth pesto. We're grating a clove of garlic there, and we're going to toast off our walnuts in the oven for about 5 to 10 minutes. Just keep an eye on them and give them a shake halfway through. They can burn quite easily, so as soon as you start to smell that nice nutty aroma, you can pop those out of the oven. We're chopping up our parsley here that we've rinsed off, just a good bunch of parsley. Give it some extra flavour, give it some nice vibrant green in there. So we've popped our cauliflower, parsley and wild garlic in our blender jug. We're just going to add our toasted walnuts, a couple of handfuls. Then we're going to add our Parmesan cheese. Here we're using Parmesan, or you could use Pecorino Romano for a slightly cheaper alternative. Don't be shy on that, as much cheese as you like. I go for quite a little bit here. We're going to have a good few healthy cracks of black pepper, and get it in your blender with some nice extra virgin olive oil. You might need a little bit of water just to get it going, and that's fine. Just remember to add some extra seasoning, some extra salt, because you'll be diluting the flavour slightly. And as you can see from this batch, we've got a nice big containers worth, I think 300 or 400 millilitres, so enough for sort of 10 to 20 portions of this soup, absolutely plenty. And this pesto goes great on sandwiches, on grilled meats, in salads, so this will definitely come in handy. It'll last 3 to 4 weeks in your fridge easily. Just taking the bottoms off our cauliflower here, and then we're going to remove the stems. So we're going to use the whole head of the cauliflower in the soup, being sure not to waste anything. The stems here are obviously much denser and much harder, so we're going to slice these quite thin, but don't worry too much about it. These need to be in a smaller size piece than the florets, than the head of the cauliflower, because we want them to all cook at the same time. So as you can see here, I'm just roughly chopping the head of the cauliflower into slightly larger pieces. But it's all going to get boiled together, so don't worry too much about that. We're going to take some little extra smaller heads of cauliflower, some smaller florets for an optional garnish, and chop up the rest of our veg. So we're using leek, onion and celery as our base, keeping it nice and pale, but it's going to get some more savoury flavour in there and some extra nutrients. Slice up a little bit of garlic and pick some thyme leaves. We have thyme growing in our garden, but you can pick this up in the supermarket. So we're going to add our onions, our celery and our leek into the pan straight away in some hot oil and butter. We're going to season this generously with salt and pepper. We want to add the salt immediately so all the alliums start to soften and they don't get too brown. We want to reduce as much browning as possible in this recipe just to get them cooked up and sweated nicely and to get them soft. If they brown too much, you'll just have a darker coloured soup, which isn't the end of the world, but we quite want that white, creamy colour, just visually pleasing, purely aesthetic. Of course, depending on the stock that you use, if you use a nice pale veg stock, then that's going to make a paler colour, or a dark chicken stock is going to make it slightly darker. Here we've added our thyme leaves and our garlic. We're just going to cook all this off until the smell is lovely and it's really aromatic and all the vegetables start to soften. At that point, we add in our cauliflower all together, give that a good stir, add a little bit of extra oil if you need to, if you feel like it's going to stick to the pan at all, and top up on your seasoning. Remember to season at every stage of the process. So this initially, we're just going to sweat off all the vegetables till they soften. We're going to cover this with parchment paper. If you've got a lid that fits the pan that you're using, then obviously use that, but I don't have a lid for this one, so I've just cut out a circle of parchment. We call that a cartouche. That's going to go over the top. That's just to keep all the steam in, so as the vegetables are cooking, they're going to be releasing their moisture and steaming. If we can keep the moisture in the pan, it's going to make the vegetables cook quicker. So that's the only reason we're doing that. Make sure to keep giving it a nice stir and shuffle around so nothing sticks too much to the bottom of the pan. It's not the end of the world, but we do what we can. Here I've just brought the stock up to a simmer and I'm going to add this. This is just some dark chicken stock that I had frozen that I've used for this, but shop bought is fine. It's always better to make your own, but if you're pinched for time, then shop bought or even water will do the job. Now everything's cooked down nicely. This is about 10 to 20 minutes. Don't worry about overcooking this. Just make sure everything's nice and soft so it's going to blend easily. We're just doing this with a stick blender. Make sure to taste and add seasoning as you like. If you wanted this super creamy and smooth, you could put it in the jug blender, but completely not necessary. And then you could even pass it through a sieve to get rid of any more lumps. But for our purposes, I'm just going to give this a nice little blend with the stick blender here. So you can see we've got 5 really good sized portions here, so that's easily 5 lunches. If you were to double this recipe up and do 10 portions, then you've got lunch for 2 weeks and you can easily get that done in an hour or less. So that's a very easy way to have some nice healthy lunches. Here we're frying off our cauliflower in a pan over high heat in some oil just to get a nice char, a little extra small garnish, and crumble up your walnuts on top. There you have it, hey presto, a delicious creamy cauliflower soup with wild garlic pesto, making the best of our seasonal British ingredients and seasonal produce. Lots of nutrients in there. Check the blog post to find out the nutritional content. We'd love to see some pictures of you guys making this soup for yourself, so get in touch on all our social media channels, and of course if we can support you or any loved ones with addiction issues, please get in touch. Thank you very much, we'll see you in the next one.